We're Erin and Dave Tashin, co-hosts of the Mindful Educators podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now.
Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others.
Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Coming up on episode 181 of the House of EdTech podcast, I'm going to give you a summer break to-do list. I'm going to talk about a new social audio app, and we're going to talk about some learning that you can do during the summer. Strike up the band. Welcome to the House of EdTech podcast. I am your host, Chris Nesi. The House of EdTech explores how technology is changing the way teachers teach and the impact that technology is having in education. I discuss technology that is changing our classrooms and schools, and I share tools and tips that you can hear today and use tomorrow. You're going to hear the stories of teachers, leaders, and creators just like you. The purpose? Whether you use it or not, technology is changing the way you teach and how your students learn. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for making House of EdTech a part of your anytime, anywhere professional development. If this is your first time listening, welcome. If you're a returning listener, welcome back. We've got a lot to do today, and I'll be honest, we got to get sort of right into it. But before I get into the EdTech thought and the featured content, I do want to give you an update. As I record this episode on Saturday, June 19th, 2021, I am, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I am 3 days post-surgery to remove the tumor from my foot. And I will say that the medication is helping. The foot is still wrapped. I haven't had the dressing changed since I had the surgery. As I'm recording this, I've got a doctor's appointment this coming week. And if you're listening to this in the future, hopefully in subsequent episodes, I'm talking about how the tumor was non-cancerous and, I can go back to being my happy-go-lucky self. But let me just say, I'm still my happy-go-lucky self because I had something taken out and, the pain has been, I guess, bearable. Haven't had to take anything super strong other than some prescription strength ibuprofen. But that's where I am at. So I will certainly keep the updates coming to you throughout the summer because I know you care about me, and I'm appreciative of that. Again, thank you to people who have been reaching out, and, even if you haven't been able to take the time to reach out to me, I know that as you hear this, you're thinking, oh, I hope he's okay. But I understand we're all busy. Speaking of busy, as I'm coming off of this and, I continue to heal and get back to 100%, ISTE Live 2021 is right around the corner. ISTE Live 2021 is going to be virtual like the December 2020 event was, and ISTE 21 is taking place from Saturday, June 26th through Wednesday, June 30th. Now, because it's summer, because I just had surgery, I don't have the time to do all 5 nights, to do the ISTE Live daily recap show all 5 nights. But what I am going to do, because one, it's super fun, and I had a blast back in December doing those live shows each and every night of ISTE. I will be committing to doing the live stream on June 26th, the first day of ISTE Live, Monday, June 28th, and the last day, Wednesday, June 30th. I will be live out at chrisnessy.com/live at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're listening from elsewhere in the world, we're talking 10 p.m. Eastern U.S. And if you didn't get a chance to come out back in December, hopefully everybody's schedule is freed up and we can have some fun those 3 nights. And we will recap the ISTE conference. We will talk education. We will talk technology. I will do my best to get us some guests, maybe some keynote speakers, poster session presenters, quote unquote regular session presenters. And we'll kind of have like a nightly ISTE party on, again, June 26th, June 28th, and June 30th, 10 p.m. Eastern. go to chrisnessy.com/live. That goes out to the YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, smash that bell, get notified when I go live. And if you actually go to chrisnessy.com/YouTube, you will be prompted to subscribe to the YouTube channel. So that's, I think that covers it. So surgery update, what we're going to be doing for ISTE Live here on the House of EdTech. And let's get into this episode's EdTech Thought. Summer is a fantastic time to do fantastic things. But we should kind of keep our summer a little bit organized. As much as I am looking forward to being done with this school year and really recharging my battery and returning to school in September, fully vaccinated, having all the kids back in the school, at least where I'm at, you might be in a different situation where you are, but on paper, I'll be returning to high school, probably teaching 9th grade world history, and looking forward to welcoming back students to school who, let's face it, at least where I'm at, I will be getting freshmen next year who haven't been to school, the majority of them, since March of 2020, which means those incoming 9th graders, the last time they really attended school, the far majority, at least where I'm at, they were in 7th grade. And they spent the majority of their 8th grade year, this current school year as I'm recording this, at home. Now, I'm sure some of them did go back to 8th grade and they attended the middle school a little bit. But if it's anything like what I experienced at my high school, where my high school has 23 to 2,400 students, and we had less than 120 kids in the building at any given time once we actually went from virtual learning to hybrid learning, it's going to be interesting. So this summer, more than any other, is going to be very important. So I put together a couple of things that I'm going to be doing, and you might want to consider doing too. Number one, read the books on your nightstand. I'm here in the House of EdTech studio, where if you've ever seen me live stream, I have a guest bed and I have a nightstand on this guest bedroom bed that there's some books there that I want to get through. Some are Superman books. There are some baseball books. I've got some professional development books, which I will share with you in just a second. But this summer, take some time to read those books on your nightstand. Stay up late and finish that chapter. Hit the beach with your best fun read and your best fun friend. And if you're near the Jersey Shore, get in touch. I'll go to the beach when I can get sand on my foot, but we'll get there. Or you know what? Stay in your PJs. Read on a cozy sofa. It's summer. Treat every day like it's Saturday. It's kind of like being retired. As I also look here on my desk, I've got a stack of comic books that I need to get through that I tend to not read the comic books during the school year. So summer is a great time to read comics. And in terms of professional development books, there is one here that I've been waiting a while to read, and that is Project-Based Learning by Ross Cooper and Erin Murphy. So I'm very excited for that. The subtitle of that book is Real Questions, Real Answers, How to Unpack PBL and Inquiry. So I'm looking forward to that. And I've got another book here on the desk called The Startup Teacher Playbook, and that's by Michelle Blanchet and Darcy Bakkegard. So I'm looking forward to that. The subtitle of that book is Turn Your Ideas into Actions, Personalize Professional Development, and Create Innovative Learning Experiences for You and Your Students. So those are two professional texts that I'm looking forward to getting into. I will have links to both of those in the show notes out at chrisnessy.com/181. If you're on your podcatcher, you'll be able to maybe swipe left or tap the cover art, and there should be show notes there with a link if you want to head over. There'll be Amazon links. And when I do share Amazon links, if you use my links, you help support the show. So you might want to do that. Number two, reconnect with friends. We have been physically distant for a long time. At least I have. So this summer, hopefully, as things start to open up and you feel safe and as you feel comfortable, get out there, reconnect with some friends, reconnect with your family. All right. Chances are there were times during this school year that if you were able to socialize, you were probably exhausted and drained to socialize on the weekends. Summer is, as we all know, a great time to get out there with our friends for a little bit of fun. and family. We know as full-time educators that sometimes our family gets neglected. I know mine has, and I love them to death. But, between podcasting and lesson planning and creating content, and once I had to go back to school, losing that time for commuting to school and coming home from school, that's time that I was fortunate enough to have for so long being virtual this school year. So slow down. Spend some quality time with the people you love the most. All right. Number 4, make time for that hobby. I've talked in years past when it gets to be about this time of the year and this time of the school year, to encourage you to try something new during the summer, maybe start a podcast or maybe pick up a hobby. As teachers, we do get used to accomplishing everything we have to do, and we sometimes forget what we love to do. Make time for your hobbies, even if you have to literally schedule them in. Knit that scarf, learn to play the guitar, slap at the bass, take up yoga. Whatever your interest is, indulge in it. Have fun. Again, we talk about whether it's on this podcast or on Podcast PD, it's not about professional development. It's about personal development. As you continue to develop as a person, you will develop professionally. The better person you are, the better teacher you will be. So explore all those different parts of yourself. And hopefully, wherever you're at, maybe you interact with my weather tweets on a daily basis. Get outside. Get outside. We spend too much time indoors. So get out there this summer. Go in your backyard. Get out in your neighborhood. Let the sun hit your skin. Let the sand hit your toes. That's not really my thing, but maybe you like the beach. I myself, not a fan of the sand. Let the wind in your hair. I used to like that, and then I shaved my head. So really, I don't know what I'm doing. But whatever I do, I'm going to breathe it all in. And that's my EdTech thought. Now it's time for this episode's EdTech recommendation, and we're going to talk about a new app that I'm really excited about. And now that I got your attention, here we go. Today I want to talk about Greenroom. More specifically, Greenroom from Spotify. Allow me to share from The Verge. The headline reads, Spotify's Clubhouse competitor launched today. And this was published on June 16th, 2021. So what is Greenroom? Spotify's live audio app Greenroom launched on June 16th for iOS and Android, marking Spotify's first real attempt at creating a social media platform. The social audio app, which is very similar to Clubhouse, which I did a whole episode on Clubhouse for educators just a few episodes ago, this allows users to host live conversations about, they list some things, but you can host a live audio conversation about anything you want. Maybe this is something you take up this summer when you're walking. Maybe you don't want to start a podcast, but you want to just start talking to people. It's a social audio app, and teachers will be there. Why? Because I'm talking about it. And I know that when I start talking about stuff, people are going to check it out. Now, I've already gotten a little bit of quote unquote pushback with people telling me, oh, not another app. Hello, Stacy. Hello, AJ. But we are going to test these things out. That's kind of what we do. All right. The app is actually a rebrand, and I'm jumping all over this article. It's a rebrand of the app that was called Locker Room. And Spotify acquired this app back in March. So it's a little buggy. They've given it a facelift, but you can start to create content on something that's powered by Spotify. I think so far in the few days I've been listening to conversations that the audio quality is a little bit better on Greenroom. I think that there are some great features. Number one, there is a chat function. So if you have tried out Clubhouse, you know that there is no chat function. And sometimes you're probably in a room listening to people talk and you've got something to say, but you can't get up on the stage or you get ignored. In Greenroom, there is a chat where you can chat, and the chat can kind of take on a life of its own, similar to when, I do live streams or when we do Podcast PD. Sometimes when we're on YouTube, those conversations take on a life of their own in the chat. And it's almost like two different things going on. You've got the ability in Greenroom to record your conversations, and it will send you the recording. So if you want to get into podcasting and creating some content and putting those conversations out there, there's going to be a way to do that. I think it's definitely worth checking out. You do need to have some type of Spotify account, whether it's free or a paid Spotify account. You can sign up with your Spotify login, although it's not totally required to use the app, but it certainly makes it easier if you want to do something with these conversations after the fact. Okay. If you're into monetization, there will be a creator fund. So if you dive into this and, it really takes off for you, there is will be a way you can make money as a content creator. That's not my plan. So I'm just going to be on there to have those conversations and make connections, but I will have a link to Greenroom in the show notes. I will have a link to the Android and the iOS version. As I record this towards the end of June 2021, the Android version is a little wonky, so just bear with it. They are going to be making changes, and they'll be updating the app, and I hope to see you on Greenroom. My username on there is @MrNessie, and try it out. What have you got to lose, right? Maybe just a little time, try the app, decide if it's for you or not for you, and be on the lookout for when I start to host rooms, and I'll still be doing stuff on Clubhouse, and I'm trying to get into Twitter Spaces as well. So really, it's all, multiple sides of the same cube. The idea of social audio apps. So it's the skill, really. So if you didn't jump on Clubhouse with the whole invite thing, maybe this is something you can easily just download and get into, because it's about the skill. Because will there be other social audio apps that come along after this? Absolutely. Now is the time to cut your teeth and learn how to do this. All right. It's like connecting with people on Twitter, but there is audio. It is live. It is super fun. And if you're on Clubhouse or you're on Greenroom or you have access to Twitter Spaces, invite me to your stuff. I'm pretty much @MrNessie on all these platforms. So let's get social with our audio and maybe consider checking out Greenroom from Spotify. And that's my House of EdTech recommendation. For the featured content today, I want to talk about things you can learn about this summer. It could be summer 2021. This could be summer 2022 or 2023 or many decades into the future, because I'm going to do my best to make sure this podcast lives on forever. I might be dead right now. Well, I'm not as I record this. I don't know. Maybe that's a bad joke. You tell me. A couple of things that you could consider learning about this summer. So these are some recommendations. Again, this is the House of EdTech. I'm going to throw tech your way. We've got time this summer. Here are some things that I'm going to be diving into, and you might want to dive into as well. And if you're an expert or a guru in anything I'm about to talk about, reach out to me. Maybe we can put together an episode this summer about some more specifics about these tools, and we can create some great content together. Number one on my list, Slides Mania. Okay, this is, and while I'm quoting the website, I believe this statement. Slides Mania is the best free slideshow, slide deck template creator out there. Okay, take your PowerPoints, take your Google Slides to the next level. They will never be the same. And you know what? Slides Mania is much more than just slide backgrounds and themes for your slideshows. I'm on the website now, slidesmania.com, and I'm on the education tab. They've got interactive templates, notebook style templates, manipulative templates, games templates, choice boards, weekly planners, yearly planners, certificates, morning meeting layouts, what she calls happy series, or a little bit of everything. There's professional, fun, simple. There is a whole section of educator templates created by other educators. Okay. These are great ways to enhance the mundane template that you might get in PowerPoint or Google Slides. And what I do thoroughly recommend if you have ever gotten value from Slides Mania, or you've downloaded a template or used anything, okay, the website has a buy me a coffee button on it. Buy Slides Mania a couple of cups of coffee, $5, $10. All right. Everything on the website is free, but we all know that creating websites and time is money. So if you have time to use these templates and use these resources, maybe you can throw Slides Mania a couple of bucks for a cup of coffee to help keep the lights on over at Slides Mania. All right. So check out Slides Mania. Maybe you can start to develop some of those lessons and some of those resources and enhance some of the things you did this school year to get ready for next school year. Next up is a twofer. It's like heads or tails on a quarter, and that's Peardeck and or Nearpod. You could be Team Peardeck, you can be Team Nearpod, you can be both. I don't care. But the tools that they offer you, yes, there are similarities, yes, there are differences, but the idea of having interactive presentations, creating content that is interactive, dynamic, the potential to be student-paced, or if you're doing some traditional lecturing but you want to build in some checks for understanding, there are great interactive tools. So if you got involved with Peardeck and or Nearpod this past school year, this upcoming summer break is a great time, again, to dive in, spruce up some of these presentations, get yourself prepared for maybe that first couple of units, build up a lead, right? Get ahead. And maybe you can combine what you get from Slides Mania with Peardeck or Nearpod, because they both let you import Google slideshows and PowerPoint files that you make. So all they do is give you the ability to add interactivity. So maybe dive further into Peardeck or Nearpod. Number 3, speaking of presentations and doing things in new and different ways, consider, and I played with this a couple of years ago, but I want to try and do a little bit more with it because it is visually pleasing and, quite frankly, it's fun. And that's Microsoft Sway. So if creating presentations or sending newsletters or emails takes over your life during the school year, consider Microsoft Sway. It lets you design clean and striking documents for any purpose using texts, images, videos, and other embeddable items. You could keep parents informed about interesting events for their kids in your class. You can send students a presentation introducing them to a book or a topic you're going to be discussing. So if you're doing that blended learning, flipped classroom learning next year, with the help of Microsoft Forms or even other data you can collect, you can even design quizzes in Sway. All right. So even if you're a Google school, you can still access Microsoft Sway. It's a great platform. You can do websites. You can have kids do presentations. Whatever your purpose is, the right combinations of elements can make the right impact. And there are a lot of software programs that can do similar things, but I think I know I'm going to dive more into Microsoft Sway this summer. As again, I like to give my kids choice, and this is a great option when it comes to being creative. So if you're into the 4 C's, creativity, here's another tool that, again, you don't necessarily need to be the expert in, but if you're a little bit familiar and then it's something you can just kind of throw at your students and you can support, let them run with it. All right. Let them experience a little bit of productive struggle as they learn a new tool, and you might learn it right along with them. Next up, Google Keep, a classic. If you were a listener of the Google Teacher podcast, Matt and Casey talked a lot about Google Keep from time to time, and Google Keep is one of those tools that I use it, but man, I could do a whole lot more with it. I've got it on my phone. I've got access to it on my school laptop here on the House of EdTech, computer. And, if you're not familiar with Google Keep, what it does is it captures ideas. Okay. It is the Google version of Evernote, of a notepad, but you can capture really anything. You can capture your voice. You can add images to notes. You can do task lists, to-do lists, and a whole lot more. With Google Keep, we can create, share, and collaborate with people on notes and lists. We can keep it synchronized across all our devices. It's a very powerful tool that integrates easily with Google Docs and Google Sheets, and I need to do more with it. So if you're doing a lot with Google Keep, reach out to me. Email me, feedback@chrisnessy.com. Tag me on Twitter. Maybe we can do something more with Google Keep. Maybe you've got features or something that you're really doing that's really powerful. I mean, I use keywords. I have a whole lot of stuff organized for, the podcasts that I produce. I use it to organize some lecture notes and resources for what I do at Rutgers. But I want to, and I know that I can do more with Google Keep. So maybe we can do more with Google Keep this summer. Next up, Canva. All right. The great Canva, canva.com, for creating all sorts of really anything visual. It is the ultimate all-in-one desktop publishing. When I'm going through TikTok, I'll see videos on TikTok with people saying, here's another thing that Canva does that is making Canva take over the internet. But let me tell you this. Go get your free educator account. Use your school email to get a free educator account, which is basically getting Canva Pro for free. So I did that at the start of this school year, and that took a lot of my designs and graphics and flyers and things that I did to the next level, because everything that when you use like a regular Gmail or email for Canva and you see images and templates and it's like $1, and all the good stuff costs money, use your school account, get a free educator account, and all that stuff is unlocked. I know, amazing, right? So get a free Canva account, take your images, take your slides, take your flyers. There's, again, it's just super powerful. So if it's for your classroom, or if you're maybe at a higher district level position and you want to do more with social media and images, it's all there. All right. There's video resources. There are so many templates on Canva. And my only thing is go get your free educator account to take it to the next level and unlock everything. So go play with Canva. Next up, and this is my final thought here, your LMS. All right. Yes. Over the course of the last year, whether it was Google Classroom or Schoology or Edmodo or Blackboard or Canvas, right? Whatever your learning management system is, and I don't care what it is, so I'm not here to single anyone out, but whatever it is, dive deeper. Now, I'm sure you, like me, we both got schooled in how to really maximize our LMS. For me, I'm in a Google district, Google Classroom, did a whole lot with Google Classroom to organize it, make it make sense, and really get the most out of it with my students. There's more to learn. As I'm recording this, again, it's June 19th. The Google, the Anywhere School event is forthcoming, where they're going to announce, and I'll say this in jest, they're going to announce features in June that won't be available until Thanksgiving, which Google, do you realize that schools start in August and September and not November? But anyway, again, I jest, yet I'm sort of half serious. I've tweeted about this. You should be familiar with my frustration with when Google releases stuff. Anyway, whatever your LMS is, dive in, explore the features. Maybe you really didn't get the opportunity because of the hustle and bustle and craziness of the last school year, but maybe now is the time for you to really dive in, check out the features. How can you really, get content up there? And maybe now you need to reimagine, as I alluded to in a previous episode about blended learning being the answer going forward post-pandemic. How can you continue to maximize your LMS? And if you've got tips or ideas for how to use your LMS, and again, I don't care which LMS it is, forward me those tips. Send me an email, feedback@chrisnessy.com, and maybe we can put together a tips and tricks for the LMS, and we can create an episode like that. If you want to come on and talk, leave me a voicemail. Go to chrisnessy.com/feedback. There's any number of ways you can get your thoughts here on the show. And if you've got a lot to say, let's get you on here as a guest and we can have a great conversation and talk about LMS tips and tricks. So to recap, go play with Slides Mania, dive into your Peardeck or Nearpod, go play with Microsoft Sway. I'm going to dive and go deep with Google Keep. Go get your free Canva educator account and dive. I feel like it's a whole lot of deep diving here, which maybe I should go scuba diving. I don't know. I've done it a couple times, but go deep with your LMS, whatever it is. Know it inside and out, like the back of your hand. Talk about it with colleagues, and that's what I think we should be focused on, or could be focused on, this summer. If there are things that you're going to be focused on this summer, professionally that are not these things, let me know. Leave a comment on the show notes, chrisnessy.com/feedback. This is an interactive program. Let me know what you think. All right, here we go. Speaking of letting me know what you think, there's a segment that I include only when I have submissions, and that's the Just Give It a Try segment. At the end of every episode of this podcast, since episode 1, I tell you that using technology isn't difficult. Just give it a try. Well, the Just Give It a Try segment is where you send me your stories of things you have tried. Maybe it was successful, maybe it fell on your face. I don't care. Either way, we're going to learn and grow together from our successes and our failures. So send your stories. You should have a lot of stories from this past school year of things that were successful and things that maybe weren't successful. You've got tips, you've got tricks, you've got advice, you've got experience. And I'd love to have too many stories, or I'd love to get to the point where I'm sharing, 2 or 3 in each episode. All right. So send me your Just Give It a Try stories. Go to chrisnessy.com/feedback. And now let's meet this episode's House of Ed Tech VIP. This episode's House of Ed Tech VIP is my gal pal from Texas, Tisha Poncio. She is Texas Tech Chick on Twitter, and there's an abbreviation there. It's TXTECHCHICK, Texas Tech Chick on Twitter. Tisha, I met through Clubhouse earlier this year, and we became fast friends, and I think she is a wonderful human being, a wonderful educator, and I want to shine the spotlight on her right here, right now. She is a former district-level digital learning specialist with 20 plus years of experience as a leader, a learner, and an educator. And now she's left the district that she was in, and she is now a digital learning specialist at Wakelet, which is awesome. Congratulations on making that move, Tisha. It's going to be awesome for you. In addition, Tisha is a Google certified trainer, which means she has all the googly stuff below that. She is a social media rock star. She runs rooms on Clubhouse on a regular basis, and she has a ton of fun on Twitter. You should check out her blog at tishaponcio.wordpress.com. Check out her Wakelet profile at wakelet.com/Tisha Poncio. And again, connect with Tisha on Twitter. She is Texas Tech Chick. And again, that's TXTECHCHICK. Congratulations, Tisha. You are a House of Ed Tech VIP. Thank you for checking out this episode of the House of Ed Tech. It's been my absolute pleasure to get through the 2020-2021 school year. As I reflect back, I need to give another shout out to Derek Larson, who basically picked up the slack and helped to keep the show going when I was going to put the show on a hiatus for about half the school year. And Derek Larson stepped up and hosted the show admirably. Certainly an important piece of history for this podcast. Also want to say, with this episode and any episode that you listen to, keep the conversation going. If you haven't figured it out yet, I want to hear from you. I want to connect with you. I want to hear your thoughts on the things that I talk about in these episodes, whether I'm by myself or the guests that I've had on and will have on. For this episode, go to chrisnessy.com/181, and that's CHRISNESI.com, and the episode number 181. You could also send me a message by going to chrisnessy.com/feedback. Send me an email, send me a voicemail, go on Flipgrid. It's all there. If you enjoy the House of Ed Tech, do me a favor, huge ask, tell somebody else about the podcast. Word of mouth is the best way to share a podcast that you enjoy, maybe even love. And if you love this podcast, tell somebody else about it. Just one other person. If you share it on social media, use the hashtag HouseOfEdTech. You could also become an awesome supporter. Many thanks to my awesome supporters. That includes Anthony Arnaud from the STEM Class Podcast, Dan Gallagher from GallagherTech.edublogs.org, Carlos Garza from the ISTE Tech Podcast, Peggy George at PGeorge on Twitter, Jeff Herb at Jeff Herb on Twitter, Mike Messner at Messner_Mike. It's been fun to talk to Mike about his new podcast. And again, we're going to get him on here this summer to talk even more about creating podcasts. Matt Miller, that's right, Matt Miller from Ditch That Textbook and formerly of the Google Teacher Podcast. Thank you, Matt, for supporting the show. JP Presevento from the Bits and Bytes of Education Podcast. Find everything JP Presevento out at jppres.com. Patty Reefus at PGR Teaches, Lori Simpson at North L Simpson, and Kyle Wilcox. If you want to be awesome, go to chrisnessy.com/awesome. The next episode of the podcast is 182. July 4th, 2021 is when it drops. Until next time, thanks for learning with me, and remember, using technology isn't difficult. Just give it a try. Hey, if you're still here, I also want to drop another plug for the Discord community. Go to chrisnessy.com/Discord and join the conversations there. We are having a ton of fun as that community continues to grow and people are making connections and having conversations. So chrisnessy.com/Discord, join the community.